All right, so today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be building the nose cone and parachute to the water rocket. So first thing I'm going to do, put a little hand sanitizer on my hand just to make sure any germs that are on my hand don't make it onto the equipment. All right, so what you're going to do is, this is what you should have, right? So you should have like the nose cone and you should have the payload built preliminary, right? So that nose cone should just sort of rest on top. You don't want it too loose or too tight because you want this to fall off when the rocket falls to release that parachute. So I'm going to set this aside. Now we're going to put the parachute together, right? So that parachute is going to fit up into that nose cone just like this, and when it falls out, it's going to release it. So this is how we're going to do it. So you're going to have a trash bag. Now with these trash bags, they're sort of cross-stitched at one end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these scissors and I am going to cut that end off because I want a flat sheet of paper or plastic. All right, so what I can do is now I can sort of unfurl this. So now it's kind of like this, sort of like a tube. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down one end. I'm going to find a seam and I'm just going to cut down one end. Just like this. There we go. All right, so now what I do is I have this nice flat plastic. And this is what I'm going to make my parachute out of. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set it out on the desk, and I'm going to grab where I think about the center would be. So I would say the center is going to be about at this point, right? Because I want the largest parachute that I have because I want to slow this rocket down the most in order to protect that egg. So I'm going to go until I reach one of the edges, right about there, right? So that will get me just to the edge, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it now. There we go. So this is going to be trash, but it shouldn't be too much. And then I can sort of unfurl my, it's like going to be a circular sheet of plastic. Now you see, when I cut it, there were going to be all sorts of weird edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in half 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Right, so now I'm going to have something that looks like a pizza slice. Now what I'm going to do just to make this look nice and neat and easier to work with, I'm just going to trim around the edge on the very edge of it. That way it's going to be a nice circular parachute. Go. All right. There we go. All right, and this is a little trash, but we're not wasting too much because this is going to be the most amount of that bag. All right, so now that I have a nice, circle, nice arc, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take like a pencil or something sharp, and I'm going to poke a hole sort of close to the top. Right, sort of close, like right around here. Right, so I'm just going to poke a hole all the way through all of it. Just make a nice hole. I sort of twist it around, just pull that out. That way I'm going to have 8 different holes in the parachute when I unfurl it. Right, so just like this, and notice that there are going to be these 8 holes around it. So now I'm going to lay it out flat. Now this is where we're going to put the parachute together. So you're going to have 4 different lengths of string. So what I do is I look at one hole and I look at the hole right across from it. I sort of go off the edge just a little bit, just by a couple of inches on both sides, because I'm going to tie this to that. So I'm going to just show you how to do that, just 1 or 2 inches right off the edge. There we go. Oop, there we go. All right, so then what I can do is I put this string through there. It might be a little frayed, but that's okay. All right, so then I tie a knot there. Just a simple square knot should do. Tie it once, tie it twice, right There we go, just like that. And then I do that same thing to the other side. All right, just like that. There we go. And I'll tie another one. Good. All right, there we go. All right, so that was one. All right, so notice that I did that. Now I have this string that it's not good. You don't want it too tight, but you don't want it too loose. And you do that, and you're going to do that 4 different times. So I've already gone ahead and done this. So I'm going to fold this, just get it out of here, keep it nice and organized, because we can use that one later. But I've already gone ahead and done that. So this is what you're going to look at. So now I've got 4 different strings, and they sort of meet in the center. Now to attach it to the nose cone, or no, sorry, not the nose cone, to the payload, what you should have already done is made 2 small incisions to make like a nice handle right there, right? So that's what we're going to connect the parachute to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another length of string, maybe like a foot or so, and cut it like that. Good. Okay, then I'm going to grab all 4 pieces of the string on the parachute. I'm going to tie this one string. I'm going to make sure it's in the center. I don't want it to slide around too much. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie them all together with this one string. I'm going to make this one pretty tight because I don't want this string to move. Right, this is what's going to connect it to that. I might tie a triple knot just to be safe. Right, I want this to be extra secure. All right, there we go. Right, so now I have this one string that's gonna. We'll see. That's what's gonna connect it. Notice that when I pull this up, well, the parachute should come up at about the same side on all angles. That's what's gonna lead to success. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna string this string through that little incision, those 2 incisions. Right, so one going one way, just like this. Oopsies. Hold on. There we go. Just like that. Come in here, grab this, then I push that down again, and I come out the other side, just like that. There we go. And now what you can do, just like that. Right, so now what you can do is you can tie that to it. Right, so I would tie a nice double knot, and that will ensure that it's going to stay secure. Now, if you absolutely want to, you could put a little dab of hot glue on there just to ensure that it doesn't go anywhere. But remember, since it is not filled with water, that could warp the plastic. So I would just make sure that knot is extra tight. All right, good. So now that we have that, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to connect the nose cone to this. Now, so you're going to have a nose cone, and it's going to set on top. But remember, you can't have the nose cone just flying off. It all has to return to the ground connected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a hole punch. All right, so I have one small hole punch. I'm just going to come in here, and I'm going to sort of go up. I don't want it too low on it, so I'm going to go up really as high as I can. I'm going to make 2 holes. 1, 2. Right? So it should look like that. You might be able to see that. Let me get the light. There we go. So there are 2 holes on there. Now, I'm going to take about maybe a, let's see here, maybe about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet worth of string. There we go. Got that. And I'm just going to run it through both of these just to make it nice and secure. Maybe I'll run it through. Actually, I'll run it through this way and tie it on the inside. That way I only have a little bit of string on the outside. Just like that. There we go. And now I can tie it on to there. That way this nose cone will be nice and secure. And like I said, you can put a little dab of hot glue on there, but you would risk warping the plastic. I think I'm just going to keep it like this. So now I've got a string connected to that nose cone. I'm going to do the same thing I did to the parachute, and I'm going to tie it onto the payload. Right, so you're going to have 2 things connected to that. You can make a separate 2 separate incisions for that. I don't, just because I want everything connected at the same point, but it really wouldn't make that much of a difference. It just sort of simplifies things, just because I have everything connected in one place. Right, so then I put that, tie that, there we go. Alright, and just another double knot. There we go. Having a little trouble there. There we go. Right, so now I have both the nose cone and the parachute attached. Now, the trick is you want the nose cone. Maybe I should have done this a little bit longer, but you want this to be pretty long, just because you want to make sure that the nose cone isn't too close to this, because you want it to fall out and let that parachute completely fall out, right? So maybe I probably should have made this a little bit longer, because you want the nose cone to fall away and release that parachute. So I would probably make this 2.5 feet. You want it pretty long. Right? In fact, that's what I would recommend, right? So then what you're gonna do, right, when you're loading this, I kind of, you want to make sure that you keep this nice and loose. You want to make sure it's loose when you're loading everything in. Right? You don't want to jam this in there, because you want it to just sort of unfurl when it falls out. Right? You just sort of put the strings in there, and there we go. So put the strings in there just like that. Good, right? And when it launches, what's going to happen is this is going to fall out just like this. That's why you probably want this nose cone string to be a little bit longer than your parachute string, so the nose cone can continue to fall away. So that's why I would do that, and that's what I did on this one. All right, so it's going to fall out, and then as that nose cone falls away, that parachute is going to deploy. So you want this string longer than your parachute. So I'd make this just about this long. All right, so once again, this is the payload this is the nose cone and the parachute. And last thing I'm going to do, put a little hand sanitizer on my hand just to make sure no germs get back to my desk.